This is 5 on your side at 4. Focused on you.
Breaking at 4, a deadly shooting in Midtown. Police are on the scene right now on Spring Avenue and Lindell Boulevard. This is near St. Louis University. Within the past hour, we've learned one man is dead. A second victim is at the hospital with serious injuries. Police telling us a suspect is in custody. No word just yet on what led to that shooting.
Stay with 5 on your side for any updates on this breaking story. You can find them on air, online, and on the 5 on your side app. Right now at 4, school districts across the area still looking for bus drivers with the start of school just 1 week away. Thanks so much for being here at 4. I'm Kay Quinn.
And I'm Brent Solomon. Now, this is a problem nationwide. Districts in our area, though, getting pretty creative on how to solve it. 5 on your side's Mercedes McKay spoke with several different districts about where they stand. She's live now with an update. Mercedes.
Brett and Kay, it almost feels like deja vu, honestly. We were talking about this issue at the exact same time last year. The good news is, while several districts tell me they do still have openings, they're in much better shape than they were last year. Several schools have gotten creative, though, with how they're bringing on more bus drivers, from sign-on bonuses to more pay. Since many are dealing with less drivers, districts have eliminated or combined routes. They've also expanded the no transportation zones for students who live in a certain mile radius of their school. Over at the Rockwood School District, the transportation director tells me he could hire about a dozen more drivers. This year, the district consolidated one route in Eureka and took out a route in Fenton.
We don't have as many as we want, but we have enough drivers to staff all of our routes and a couple extra. Nothing that we feel as comfortable as we want to be about, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
Last year, St. Louis Public Schools had to temporarily suspend routes because of the shortage. I'm sure everyone does remember that. That was a big issue here. Well, the good news is this year they do have the exact amount of drivers they need for their routes, but that means they don't have any extra. So they're looking for about over 20 more drivers at this time. I'll have much more coming up at 6. Live in St. Louis, Mercedes McKay, 5 on your side.
All right, Mercedes, thanks. As the new school year gets underway, there's much discussion about measures to keep students and staff safe. The Orchard Farm School District is using what's called Safe Defend. Now, that consists of boxes that are mounted on walls in classrooms. When there's an intruder, it notifies staff via text message, and then it alerts 911. There are also first aid and self-defense tools in those boxes.
So we make sure that they have the understanding on how to break glass, should they need to do that. And then they would expand it, clear the glass, and then help the students to safety.
Now, every staff member is registered to the system, so in the event of an emergency, they can activate it and put the school on lockdown. There's an entire back-to-school section on ksdk.com. To access those resources, text the word school to 314-425-5355.
Right now, St. Louis County Police looking for several memorial plaques stolen from Jefferson Barracks Park. They were stolen from the Veterans Memorial Amphitheater and include insignia logo plaques for the Army and Marines, a plaque dedicated to the employees of Wagner Electric, and a bench plaque that honors veterans of the Battle of the Bulge. Police haven't identified any suspects at this time. Anyone with information is asked to call St. Louis County Police 636-529-8210.
Happening right now in St. Charles, contamination concerns continue there as the city shuts down its final water well. Over the weekend, the city discovered low ammonia levels in the drinking water. Ammonia is a critical component, by the way, to keep water safe to drink. City leaders are now questioning if Ameren's cleanup efforts led to that drop in ammonia.
What we suspect is Ameren, in their process of cleansing the substation, has released a lot of chemicals into the soil, which stripped out the contaminants. Thank you. But it stripped everything else out too.
So this month, St. Charles planned to turn its water wells back on. The city purchased an $8 to $10 million water system upgrade to accompany Ameren's cleanup efforts. Well, then this surfaced. For now, the city will continue to buy water from St. Louis. An Ameren spokesperson telling us they have not received any data or analysis indicating that a report of an issue at the water treatment plant is connected to the utility.
Happening tonight, the St. Louis County Council will discuss tax incentives for Boeing as the company plans to expand its operations. Last week, the St. Louis Lambert Airport Commission approved the plan, allowing Boeing to expand onto 154 acres of airport property. $2 billion in investment could add 500 jobs to the area. St. Louis city leaders still need to approve the expansion since the airport is a city property.
All right, let's go ahead and get to your weather first forecast. We have some live images coming in from downtown St. Louis. A quiet Tuesday, no rain in sight. But get ready for plenty of sun to last through the weekend. Chief Meteorologist Scott Cano now with a closer look.
We just have to get that sun to break through the clouds, and that'll be happening as the clouds tend to move out here heading into this evening. We certainly do have mostly cloudy to cloudy skies around St. Louis. That includes out in St. Charles right now, and that, in a way, is a good thing. It's giving us a taste of October, if you will, or at least September. Temperatures are only in the lower 70s to mid 70s right now, held down because of the lack of sunshine. 72 in Arnold, Forest Park at 73, St. Charles is 73, so is Edwardsville. Speaking of Edwardsville, we look over there right now under that cloudy sky, a little bit of a breeze as we look over at the courthouse in Madison County. Well, for the rest of the afternoon, we're trying to get the back edge of this cloud cover in here. You'll see a little bit of sun breaking out in the next 20 or 30 minutes, but really it's going to take another hour and a half to 2 hours before we get the clouds to completely clear St. Louis. But once they do and the wind dies down, low temperatures are headed back into the 50s for us overnight tonight. Heat will build back into the weekend, though, especially by Sunday into early next week. We're tracking that and the heat index values that come with it in just a few minutes.
All right, Scott, we'll see you soon. Right now, former President Donald Trump and his 18 co-defendants have until next Friday to turn themselves into authorities in Georgia.
This after a Fulton County grand jury handed down an indictment late last night. As NBC's Bree Jackson reports, the former president has denied any wrongdoing.
Former President Trump facing 13 felony counts, including conspiracy charges in connection to alleged efforts to overturn Georgia's 2020 election results. The indictment names 19 defendants, each charged with violating Georgia's RICO Act, a statute typically used against criminal organizations. Prosecutors use it to break down individual roles in a complex scheme.
Narrow this down to some common themes that a jury could understand and see how these pieces of the puzzle fit together.
Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis is pushing for a trial within the next 6 months as Trump's legal team prepares to put up a fight.
And it's ironic that they waited 2.5 years to try and now have it in 6 months. The reason was they wanted to mess him up right in the middle of a campaign.
In a fundraising email, the former president claims his 4 indictments are aimed at blocking his chances of winning the White House in 2024. But one Georgia Republican who testified that the 2020 election was not rigged urges voters to pivot.
You know, as a Republican that cares about the future of this country, this is our moment to hit the reset button.
Support for the GOP frontrunner remains strong. Analysts predict that might last through the primaries, but could damage the GOP in a potential rematch with President Biden.
If we start seeing those numbers separate by 5, 6, 7 points, the argument to say Donald Trump cannot win a general election will start to take hold.
Former President Trump facing political and legal battles heading into a tumultuous presidential campaign. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
And still ahead, new rules for amateur athletes in Missouri. The new law when it comes to a player's name, image, and likeness.
Too soon to start thinking about the holidays? Too bad. The end of the year shows you'll want to put on the calendar.
And move over sweet corn and peaches, the pick your own crop that's ready to be harvested.